Hello and welcome to IndiTalk. This is a show on which we discuss controversial issues of national importance. And today the issue is actually a personality. None other than Justice Deepak Misra, the 45th Chief Justice of India, who is due to retire in October, actually on Gandhi Jayanti Day, on October the 2nd, after a term of 6 years, 11 months and 22 days. Now, one of the reasons that Justice Misra evokes so much interest is that he came at a time, he took office at a time which is extremely troubling for the Indian judiciary. Over the last two or 3 years, we've seen almost what has come to be like a kind of a kind of warfare, a kind of a cold war between the executive department, which has accused the judiciary of too much judicial activism, and the judiciary, which has resisted the attempts of the executive to try and interfere in the process of the appointment of judges to the higher judiciary. And people thought that after the retirement of several judges, they're not necessarily in sequence, but let me recall by memory, Justice Sadasivam, there was Justice Dattu, Justice Thakur, and Justice Kher Singh. And when Justice Deepak Misra took office, there was a kind of a rumor saying that, well, the judiciary is under so much pressure that the only person who can succeed as Chief Justice would be someone who would be a quote-unquote darbari judge, meaning that he would kowtow to what the executive branch of government wanted the judiciary to do on issues such as perhaps Babri Masjid, the Aadhaar card, privacy, and related issues. Now, he had some very, very tough calls to make. Because the trouble for the Chief Justice came not just from this executive judicial fracas, but also from the first time an unprecedented revolt from within the judiciary itself, when the entire Collegium, consisting of Justices Chalmeshwar, Justices Gogoi, Madan Lokur, and Joseph, held a press conference in the open and pointed fingers at the Chief Justice and his ability to control the roster, that he was assigning cases at random to perhaps benches of the court which were not capable of dealing with them. And they also raised questions about the way in which a case, particularly that of the former and the late CBI judge Loya, and his death, which is now a matter of a court case, how that was dealt with. But better than what most people expected, actually Chief Justice Deepak Misra reached out to them. He even called them to his own chambers, even though they had done something which was unprecedented and which opened up the doors for the executive and people who would not like to see an independent judiciary to open the doors and make political hay out of this whole subject. And at the same time, he handled some pretty tough issues for which I think he will be remembered. One of them, the most recent one, I think, is the euthanasia issue. Well, it's not really mercy killing, but the right to die with dignity, without people being made to suffer. Of course, there are safeguards, like things have to be taken in writing from a person or a couple that wishes to die. There are safeguards, but he moved on it faster than a lot of Western countries have moved on this. Then this, what seemed to be an intractable dispute of the Kaveri waters between 4 states claiming the precious waters of the river Kaveri. And, this has often led to bloodshed in this country in terms of sharing of river waters. And the justice, I think, rose above these petty interests and made a decision on which there was, at least up till now, universal agreements. And this is something that is not a small matter, especially for the judiciary to handle. But Justice Deepak Misra took it squarely upon himself. He's a relatively small man, about 5'4". He's soft-spoken. He's well-read. He reads Shakespeare. He reads the Greek philosophers. And I think that from this crisis, as several people say, a catharsis often leads to solutions. So I think what Justice Deepak Misra did was looked upon this crisis as basically a chance for solutions and to go on just being a judge rather than listening to all the chaos that was swirling around him. And that's one of the reasons that he was able to make some extremely important observations during the Aadhaar case, the way he handled it. Some of the most difficult and most outspoken lawyers were in the court, very often exceeding what amounted to decorum, court decorum by these senior lawyers. There was the Justice Lawyer case, an extremely sensitive case in which Justice Deepak Misra has taken a great amount of interest and is assuring the public that whatever justice needs to be done in this case, if there are any suspicions, he will make sure that no suspicions remain. Don't forget that he was also the judge who handled the Nirbhay case, in which the death penalty was awarded. Yaqub Menon. He was extremely important in terms of handling a very powerful political case, and that was Uttarakhand Assembly, when he actually did not allow those 8 or 9 deserters, I think it was, to vote, and he ordered a floor test and said that the ultimate strength, the golden rule of a dismissal of a government as established by the Bombay judgment is a floor test, and he insisted that it be conducted in an orderly fashion. So, as you can see, here is a judge who has not who has not backed away from wherever he has had to put his foot down. He has come in and in a short while will go out in a time when the judiciary is being tested like it never was, and he basically in the euthanasia case, he quoted, I think what I will remember him most for is a wonderful quote he had from the Greek philosopher Epicurus, in which he says that death is nothing to us, since when we are, death is not, or death has not come. And when death has come, we are not. It's an existential statement. But above all, Justice Deepak Misra did prove that he is and remained the master of the roster. That's all for today on IndiTalk. I'm Inderjit Badhwar. We'll be back with more controversial subjects. Catch us.